In 1884, a canvas measuring 13 feet tall and 25 feet wide appeared at the Madrid Exposition. It depicted a basement beneath the Roman Colosseum, where dead gladiators were dragged through filth and stripped of their armor. The judges awarded it the highest gold medal. They called the technique masterful, but they refused to name it the best painting in the exposition. The artist was Juan Luna, a Filipino, and the painting was Spoliarium, a forensic document of what empires do with bodies after the crowd stops cheering. The word Spoliarium identifies a specific location in ancient Rome. It was the morgue of the arena, a chamber beneath or adjacent to the Colosseum where defeated gladiators were processed after combat. When a fighter fell, attendants dressed as Karen would test the body with a mallet or hot iron to confirm death. If dead, the corpse was dragged through the Porta Libitonensis, the gate of death, into this underground room. There the body was stripped. The armor, weapons, and clothing were removed because they belonged to the lanista, the gladiator trainer who owned the equipment. The term spoliatus means plundered or stripped. This was inventory recovery. The Spoliarium was where spectacle became logistics, where violence transitioned from entertainment to waste management. Luna chose to paint this room, not the arena above it. The artist was 27 years old when he submitted the painting. Juan Luna had trained at the Real Academia de Bellas Artes de San Fernando in Madrid, studying European masters for years. He was Filipino and Indio in the Spanish colonial hierarchy, competing against Spanish and European artists in the most prestigious art competition of the year. He chose Grand Manner history painting, the apex of academic art, and selected a Roman subject to satisfy the judges' expectations. Luna needed to prove that a colonial subject could master European technique. He turned his intensity toward the machinery of imperial death. Classical paintings like The Dying Gaul freeze warriors in sculptural grace, muscles still taut, faces composed. Neoclassical works frame fallen heroes with divine light, suggesting transcendence. Luna painted the aftermath. Bodies twisted, dragged through dust, piled without ceremony. The painting keeps the viewer at ground level, where bodies are heavy and systems are visible. This is anti-heroic realism. After glory collapses, what remains is waste management. The floor dominates the lower half of the canvas. It is marble or stone, and it is blurred. The center shows motion. The marble texture streaks with brush strokes that suggest speed and friction. Ropes are tied around the ankles of dead gladiators. Men strain to pull them. The bodies resist. Their limbs drag limply, creating weight against the workers' efforts. The men pulling the ropes lean forward, muscles tense, mouths open in exertion. One figure's torso twists with the effort. Another braces his leg against the floor for leverage. The ropes cut into dead flesh at the ankles, the most efficient grip point for dragging a body that cannot cooperate. A human body stripped of muscle tension becomes extraordinarily heavy. The workers haul mass across stone, and the floor records the evidence. The blur is forensic. Bodies dragged across marble create friction. The surface absorbs the motion. Luna painted what it actually looks like when corpses are cleared from a basement. Hasty, awkward, resistant to efficiency. The corpses in the center are rendered with gray and waxy tones. The flesh has lost color. One body lies face down, arm twisted behind its back. Another's head tilts backward, mouth slack, jaw loose. A third figure's torso is partially visible, chest collapsed inward. Luna renders death with medical accuracy. The skin texture is waxy, suggesting the beginning of decay. The muscles sag. The bodies have lost tension entirely. Arms hang limp, legs bend at unnatural angles. Spines curve without resistance. This is what corpses actually look like when muscle control ceases. Luna forces the viewer to confront the material reality. These are bodies, heavy, cooling, beginning the process of decomposition. There is no divine light suggesting transcendence, no compositional arrangement suggesting peaceful rest. The gladiators are piled and twisted, disposed of without ceremony. Death without metaphysical comfort, without the promise of heroic memory or afterlife reward. Just flesh, no longer animate, being cleared from the floor. Luna structures power through height. The composition divides vertically into 3 levels, each corresponding to a social position. At the top left, Roman citizens stand on a balcony or staircase. They wear togas, the mark of citizenship. Their postures are relaxed. One figure gestures casually, another leans against the railing. They are observing with curiosity, not horror. These are spectators who have come backstage after the show. They watch the killing in the arena. Now they inspect the aftermath. At ground level, workers crouch and bend. They are slaves or low-status attendants, dressed in minimal clothing. Their bodies are exposed, muscles straining. They pull ropes, maneuver corpses, perform the physical labor of death. They do not stand. They kneel, they lean, they hunch over their work. On the far right, mourners sit on the floor in shadow. They are at the lowest point of the composition, collapsed into grief. An elderly man holds a torch. A woman in blue sits hunched, head bowed or back turned. The spatial arrangement mirrors social order. Those who command the violence stand elevated, watching. Those who execute the violence bend to the ground, working. Those who suffer the violence sit in darkness, grieving. Lower figures are more vulnerable. Luna does not explain this hierarchy. The painting's structure enacts it. On the far left, scavengers hover over a body. One man holds a helmet, lifting it toward the torchlight to inspect its condition. The metal catches the flame. It gleams. Another figure reaches for a shin guard, testing its weight or checking for damage. A third bends over the corpse, removing a piece of armor from the torso. The equipment is valuable. In the Roman Gladiatorial system, armor and weapons belong to the lanista, not the fighter. The gladiator was issued the equipment for combat, but it remained the trainer's property. After death, the investment had to be recovered. The helmet, the greaves, the breastplate, all of it was catalog inventory that needed to return to storage for the next fighter. The body beneath the armor remains in shadow. The face is not visible. The person's identity does not matter to the scavengers. They are performing a procedural task. Strip, catalog, return to inventory. The corpse is simply the delivery mechanism for the equipment. Luna positions the helmet above the body in the composition. The metal is elevated, held up to light. The flesh stays low, in shadow. The visual hierarchy is explicit. The helmet has value. The human does not. This is the economics of the Spoliarium. The state reclaims its property. The person who wore it is waste. Luna documents greed overriding sanctity. There is no funeral rite, no pause for dignity, just extraction. The system processes death as efficiently as it processes life, by separating what has value from what can be discarded. On the right side of the canvas, an elderly man holds a torch. The flame provides the only light source in this section. Smoke rises into the darkness above, dissipating into shadow. He is searching, moving through the dim space, looking for a specific face among the anonymous dead. The Spoliarium was a place where identities were erased, bodies were stripped, dragged, and piled without ceremony or record. The system did not track names. The torch represents the desperate attempt to restore identity, to find your dead in the basement, where all the dead look the same. The darkness is thick. The torch illuminates only a small radius. The old man's posture suggests futility. He leans forward, straining to see, but the shadows recede faster than the light can penetrate. The search is active but hopeless. The machinery has already done its work. Near him, a woman sits on the floor. She wears blue, a color traditionally associated with the Virgin Mary, with mourning, with truth. She is isolated from the chaos on the left side of the painting. Her posture suggests she has turned away, or she has bowed her head. She is alone in her grief. Luna does not clarify her relationship to the dead. She is not labeled as wife, mother, or sister. She is simply present, grieving, while the machinery continues around her. The painting divides emotionally. The left side is noise, urgency, procedural work. The right side is silence, stillness, loss, extraction versus grief, economics versus humanity. The torch searches, but it cannot reverse what has been done. The woman sits, but sitting will not restore the dead. Luna documents the aftermath with forensic precision. The system moves forward, and mourning happens in the margins, powerless to stop it. On June 25, 1884, Filipino intellectuals held a banquet in Madrid to celebrate Luna's victory. José Rizal, who would later become the Philippines' national hero and be executed by Spanish authorities, delivered a toast. He described the painting as not mute. He said the viewer could hear the tumult of the multitude, the shouting of slaves, the metallic clatter of the armor of the corpses, the sobs of orphans, the murmur of prayers. Then he decoded it. It is the essence of our social, moral, and political life. Humanity in severe ordeal, humanity unredeemed, reason and aspiration in open fight with prejudice, fanaticism, and injustice. Rizal was not describing Rome. He was describing the Philippines under Spanish colonial rule. The gladiators were Filipinos, forced to fight for the empire's profit, then discarded without dignity. The Spoliarium was the colony itself, a place of extraction, where bodies and resources were stripped, and the system moved on. Rome was Spain. The crowd on the balcony was the colonial administration, watching the suffering they had orchestrated with casual curiosity. Luna had painted an allegory in plain sight. The Spanish judges at the Madrid exposition awarded him the first-class gold medal, the highest technical honor. But they denied him the prize of honor, the title that would have declared him the absolute best artist in the competition. Historians attribute this to racism. The judges could praise Luna's skill, but they could not crown an Indio as superior to all Spanish painters. Whether the judges understood the allegory and awarded it anyway, or whether they missed it entirely, remains unclear. Either possibility is unsettling. Luna did not hide his critique. He painted it at a monumental scale, in meticulous detail, using the exact techniques the Academy taught. The evidence was always visible. The judges simply chose not to see it, or chose to honor the technique while ignoring what the technique revealed. Spoliarium hangs in the National Museum of Fine Arts in Manila. It is the centerpiece of the main hall, the first thing visitors see. The woman in blue still sits in shadow. The torch still searches. The floor still holds the blur of motion, the evidence of what was dragged through. Luna painted what empires discard after the spectacle ends, and the weight remains visible.